My name is David Boyd. I live in Palm Springs, California, and this is a compilation of videos that I've made of sightings of anomalous craft that you could call UFOs or UAPs over Palm Springs. Please note that the first clip here is a little shaky and otherwise wonky, and I apologize for that. But I was walking my dog at the time, and he kept pulling me because he wanted to go home. Despite the shaky footage, the first UFO captured was one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen. This bright orange reddish orb, bouncing like a fisherman's buoy on the water, appeared to hover near the Palm Springs airport. Unfortunately, I didn't capture the moment on camera when the craft emerged from the orb. The craft, about the size of a 747, featured a long cylindrical body with V-shaped wings at the tips. It was covered in mesmerizing lights that moved in waves across its surface before disappearing into what looked like a giant wormhole. And this is another sighting from October 21st, 2021 that looks like a very similar orb, at least. Who knows what kind of craft was within the orb or if there was such a thing within the orb, but if you watch this video, you can see it looks very similar to the other orb. This next series of clips was taken from my home in North Palm Springs and showcases what I call the Palm Springs Lights. These orbs appear regularly, sometimes daily, usually late at night or in the early morning hours. They tend to concentrate above the ridge of the waterfall visible at the end of Alejo in Palm Springs, hovering over the ridges and canyons descending from the San Jacinto Mountains. In this early clip, you can hear helicopters in the background because several were in the area, seemingly attempting to intercept the orbs. Each time the helicopters approached, the orbs would vanish, only to reappear in larger numbers. Unfortunately, I only managed to capture the tail end of this light show, as I had to run inside to grab my camera, or rather my iPhone 12, and put my dog away. Oh, I know that it's hard to see the mountain ridges because it's nighttime and very dark, but and I wish I could change the resolution so it was easier to see, but these orbs are not appearing in the sky. They're appearing at the very top of these incredibly sharp ridges leading to the top of the mountain. And I've had people who've seen them before say like, "Well, maybe it's hikers with flashlights." Like, really? At 5:30 in the morning at the top of a ridge with a perilous cliff on either side? I really don't think so. I think it's far more likely that, you know, maybe the mountain goats have flashlights. I mean, come on, people. Anyway, you know, we're so conditioned to believe anything but the truth, right? In this clip, you can actually see the faint outline of the ridge before I really zoom in. It gets a little lost when I zoom in, but you can see that they're really like they're literally like right on the very crest of these ridges, and uh, I'm gonna shut up now because they pretty much speak for themselves. But wait, I spoke too soon. I have to keep talking because I want you to notice that if you look down to the bottom of that little triangle that you see of the lights, you can see that the bottom triangle, if you really look close, especially if you're looking at this on a larger screen, you can see it's actually a cluster of them. It's not just one, it's actually several. It's like a little nest of them. You can actually see the one at the top is actually, well, actually you can see all the way around. There's clusters of them. It's not just one, it's clusters at each point, and they're forming kind of a triangle at this point. Something else that I've noticed now that I've started to watch these on a larger screen than my iPhone is that as you watch these lights kind of flickering and sometimes appearing to disappear and then reappear somewhere else, if you watch really closely, you can actually see that they're are moving. You can actually see that they just move so fast that they appear to just jump from point to point. But if you look really close at these videos, you can actually see some of them moving. Another thing that I think is really fascinating, which is obvious, is that the way that they flicker on and off and how they can become very bright and very dim. And so if you watch closely, you can see that there are actually a lot more of them than is immediately visible because they keep their lights so dim a lot of the time. And it's when they're very dim that you'll notice that they move. You can see these little faint, lights, just kind of almost ghostly, moving very quickly from point to point. Absolutely fascinating. Also, what's really fascinating if you watch them is a lot of times they really appear to actually come together and merge. It's just amazing. And, I just want to say again, please don't tell me or try to tell me that these are the frickin' tram lights. The tram is to the north of this. This is over the waterfall. There's a big cliff that has a waterfall you can see from many points in downtown. You're just going straight up Alejo into the foothills and into the mountains. There's a giant cliff with a waterfall that frequently has water coming down it that you can see from all over this town. And that's where this activity is happening. The tram is to the north, the tram light is blue, the trams themselves are little golden lights that travel up a track. These are not tram lights. I got a hold of a guy from MUFON who was trying to tell me that they were tram lights. I was like, dude, come on. Come on, MUFON, you can do better than that. If you're going to lie to me, tell me something better than that. Please don't insult my intelligence. Once again, I apologize for the shaky camera here. I was walking my dog and she just did not appreciate the moment that I was having trying to capture this UFO. So she kept on pulling my arm as hard as she could, and you can tell by how shaky the camera is. She's very strong for such a small dog. I'm constantly amazed at her tenacity and strength, but that's not so relevant here, other than apologizing for the lack of perfection, but I think you get the idea. Now, one thing I love about seeing these objects is just, you can really see that when they light up, and I can guarantee you, because I have actually seen them lit up quite a bit more, that these objects they can become much brighter than they are appearing. They're in somewhat of a stealth mode, believe it or not, right now in this image, or video rather, and but you can see it. It's when you see them, it's the quality of this dazzling white light. There's something about it that I could easily imagine that if these have been around for a very long time, that people have been mistaking them for angels, because the purity of the white light coming from them just is, you feel it. There's quite a visceral response to just the intense purity of this just dazzling white light that comes from them. And I also want to add here that now, of course, I don't have this on video, but I have seen these orbs. Now, the videos that I have are of these orbs are on the mountains, as you can see. But I have also seen them many times in the sky. And what they do is they hang out like stars. They pretend to be stars. But I also want to add that I have seen these stars move and fly, and that at one point in Santa Cruz out on the cliffs of Davenport, I saw about 5 of them fly directly overhead very slowly, and they were indeed your classic UFO saucer. Now, I started noticing these craft all over the place about a year ago. They appear to be some kind of hybrid UAP craft that looks like something commercial, or essentially one of ours. They look at first like they could be a regular plane, but they're not. They have lights that flash and look like conventional craft lights, but then they aren't. And if you'll watch in the video, you can tell they make extremely irregular movements. I don't believe these are the same at all in terms of comparing them to the white light orbs that I've seen on the mountains so many times. I'll have to correct that, though. The orbs on the mountains can also be blue, green, and red. Predominantly, though, they're white, and when they really become bright, they're a super bright white light. But I've seen more and more of these in the sky again lately, while we're experiencing the uptick with the New Jersey drone flap, which is currently happening everywhere and is also being reported in Temecula right now. So I believe this is some kind of a drone. Or, some people have described this as being like, maybe it's a UFO that's disguised as one of ours. I think it's more like some kind of, back-engineered version of extraterrestrial craft that we've built into some kind of a hybrid. I think these are actually out there looking for the real spectacular orbs that I just showed you that were on the mountains, or continue to be on the mountains to this day. I even saw them this morning. Well, to wrap up this video, I want to show you where I am capturing these images. Now, to the north is the tram, and you can't even see it in this area. I'm doing a 360-degree view, and then I'm going to zoom in on the area where I'm capturing most of these videos, which is above this waterfall. You can see the cliff. you can see the wet spot where the waterfall, and you can see that there's a big canyon that opens up there beyond the ridge above the waterfall. And that is where all this activity is taking place. I mean, not all of it, but this seems to be the grand, great hotspot of it, you know. And my thoughts are, you know, if I were going to have a secret alien base, or let's say an advanced technology base, you know, that what a great place to put it, you know, on the you've got this giant fortress naturally built in, you've got this giant cliff wall, and then you've got this massive canyon, and it's up pretty high and really hard to get to. And what's really interesting now is this used to be a popular hiking trail, and it's been completely closed off. It's behind the old Las Palmas neighborhood, and all of the ways that you used to be able to get into it are completely chain linked off. Isn't that interesting? Well, that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.